Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's English listening practice is going to be so fun. We're talking about the biggest culture shocks we've ever had while learning languages and exploring new countries. Earth. You're going to hear a real conversation between two friends, so grab your coffee and enjoy. Let's dive in.
Oh my God, I still remember my first culture shock like it was yesterday. I had just arrived in England and I thought I knew exactly what to expect.
Really? What happened?
Well, first of all, I thought everyone would be super friendly and talk to you on the street, like in movies. But the moment I said hi to a stranger, they just stared at me like I was crazy.
Oh, yes. I remember feeling that too when I traveled. People are polite, but not exactly chatty.
Exactly. And the accents. I thought I could understand everything after a few lessons. Nope. I went to a cafe, ordered a coffee, and the barista said something like, "You'll have it flat white?" I was like, huh? Flat what?
Oh no, that's classic. Did you figure it out?
Eventually, after some pointing and miming, but I was there thinking, okay, my English is not as perfect as I imagined.
That's so true. The first week anywhere new is always like that. I remember my first week in Spain, I went to a market and tried to buy fruit. I thought I knew enough Spanish, but the vendor was so fast, so cheerful, and I froze.
Yes, that panic moment when you understand nothing.
Exactly. And everyone around you is so normal, chatting away, and you're standing there like, wait, what did she say?
Ha ha. Oh, and another thing, the food. In England, I remember seeing something called black pudding. I thought, ew, what is that? Turns out it's blood sausage.
OMG, I had a similar thing in Spain. I was invited to a traditional lunch and someone gave me huevos rotos. I had no idea it was basically fried eggs with potatoes, and it looked like, well, a mess.
Yes, the first time you tried traditional food in a new country, your brain says, do I eat this or run away?
Totally. And the gestures. In Spain, people hug, kiss on both cheeks. When I come from a culture where a handshake is normal, I thought everyone was attacking me.
Exactly. In England, it's almost the opposite. People are so polite, but also reserved. I remember waiting in line for the bus and I said thank you to the driver. She gave me a huge smile and I felt like I had made a lifelong friend.
Wow, that's so different. And the language learning part, did you feel frustrated?
At first, yes. I thought, why can't I just understand everything? But then I realized it's not about perfection, it's about immersion. Every awkward moment, every misunderstanding, it's teaching you something.
Yes, that's exactly how I felt in Spain. I would get confused, make mistakes, but the locals would laugh with me, not at me. That's when learning becomes fun.
Totally. And honestly, I learned more in those embarrassing moments than in all the textbooks I had studied.
Oh, definitely. And the funny moments, like when you mispronounce a word or misunderstand something completely, those become the best stories later.
Exactly. For example, I once tried to ask for a chocolate croissant, but I said something like croissant chocolatey. The cashier laughed so hard and I felt so embarrassed, but I never forgot the word after that.
That's perfect. And it's proof that mistakes actually help you remember.
Yes, and also the little habits you notice, like in England, people always queue politely. I had never seen lines so perfectly organized. I was amazed.
Yes, in Spain, it's almost the opposite. Lines are more casual, people chat while waiting. You have to adapt quickly, or you feel like a tourist lost in the chaos.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of traveling while learning a language. Every culture shock is also a listening practice. You learn how people speak naturally, not just textbook English.
Totally. And it's not just about words. You notice gestures, tone of voice, even body language. Everything counts.
Yes, and sometimes you feel overwhelmed, but then you laugh at yourself and think, I'll survive this, and I'm learning at the same time.
That's so true. And honestly, I think those moments make language learning exciting.
Exactly. And you start collecting stories, not just vocabulary. Stories about food, gestures, funny misunderstandings, and real life experiences.
Yes, and that's what keeps you motivated. You want to keep learning because you want to experience more of the culture.
Totally. And speaking of which, I have a story about my most embarrassing culture shock ever, but I'll save that for part 2.
Oh, yes, that's a perfect reason to come back and watch the next video.
Exactly. So if you've ever felt awkward in a new culture or misunderstood something in English, don't worry. It's completely normal.
Yes, and it's actually the best way to learn. You know what's funny? The first time I arrived in another country, I thought I was completely ready for everything. The language, the food, the people. But wow, the culture shock hit me like a wave.
Oh, I totally get that. I remember when I moved to Brazil for the first time. I thought I was just going to enjoy the beaches and the samba, but everything felt so different. What was your biggest shock?
It was actually the way people greet each other. In my country, we usually just say hi and maybe wave. But there, people kissed me on both cheeks before even knowing my name. I froze. I didn't know whether to shake hands or back away.
That's so true. Latin culture is so warm. I had the opposite shock when I moved back to Europe. Everyone was suddenly so distant. Nobody touched, nobody smiled as much. It made me realize how much our habits shape our sense of belonging.
Exactly. I remember feeling like everything was loud. People spoke loudly, laughed loudly, music everywhere. At first, I was like, how do they live like this every day? But then I started to love it. It was full of energy, life, and color. That's the magic of culture shock. It's uncomfortable, but it also makes you grow so much. You start seeing that there isn't a right or wrong way to live, just different ways. Totally. And it made me more patient too. For example, waiting in lines, people just talked to each other instead of getting frustrated. At home, we'd all just stare at our phones.
That's true. I remember once being late for something and the person just smiled and said, "No problem, relax." I was like, "Relax? I'm 10 minutes late." But they really mean it. Time feels different.
Yes, I realized that in some cultures, time isn't just about being punctual, it's about being present. That changed everything for me.
That's beautiful. So, would you say that your biggest culture shock ended up being your biggest lesson?
Definitely. It taught me to appreciate the world's rhythm, not to expect it to match mine. And now, when I travel or learn a new language, I try to listen not just to the words, but to the silence, the gestures, the atmosphere, because that's language too.
Wow, I love that. Listening beyond words. That's such a good way to put it. It's not just learning a language, it's learning a lifestyle.
Exactly. And I think that's what keeps me motivated to learn. Every culture has a melody, and I want to understand the lyrics. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. Culture shock can feel confusing, overwhelming, and sometimes even a little embarrassing, but it's also one of the best ways to grow. Every mistake, every awkward moment teaches you something new, not just about language, but about life. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and share your own culture shock stories in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.